You're watching and listening to Dan Murphy, host of Hockey Night in Canada, the Canucks on Sportsnet. So, Murph, Demko gets the number of a top goaltender in the National Hockey League, but doesn't necessarily get the term, only 3 years. But is it still a huge gamble when you consider where he's been health-wise for the Vancouver Canucks?
I mean, there's always going to be a risk. I mean, 2 seasons ago, he was a Vezina finalist, but only played 1 game in the playoffs. Last year, there was the Poplatias thing to start it. Didn't play until December, had some injuries. All I can say is this. They're confident and comfortable that he's fully healthy now. He's having a full summer of training for the first time in like forever. He's already on the ice, which is earlier than he's ever been on the ice. He's got a new trainer. So they're doing some different things. And the fact that they have Lankinen means they can play them, they can split the games. There doesn't have to be a workload that's going to be crazy for Thatcher Demko. They know that Lankinen probably can't play 55, 60, but he can certainly play 40 quality games for you. And if you split the two, I think that's the ideal scenario. So yes, Demko left some years on the table. The Canucks gave him a little more AAV than they probably would have liked, considering what's happened last year. But again, it's a situation where they're comfortable with it. They think that he can get back to where he was, and they're confident that he will. And I'll say this too: like, for all the stories out there that the Canucks, obviously last year was a gong show, or whatever the term you want to say, a tire fire, a dumpster fire, all that. The locker room was crazy. Well, you've got 3 players, 1 in UFA, Besser, 2 players that were signed on the first possible day they could in Demko and Garland, all Americans, by the way, wanting to stay in Vancouver. So
awesome
maybe the room isn't quite as bad as we made it out to be, or maybe they feel like that was more blown up than it should have been. I don't know.
I think that's great, Murph, and I think it's a great sign that even when things are imperfect, people still want to be in Vancouver. I think, you add some success and make it, that can be a real destination for guys. I am curious to know how you think they'll be affected by a change in head coach. Rick Tocchet was a pretty impactful, confident voice. Adam Foote, not been an NHL head coach in the past. Chosen over Manny Malhotra. I don't know if you put it that directly that he was chosen over him, but what are your thoughts on the coaching situation this year?
Well, I was surprised by how many times the players on their Zoom calls, Besser this morning and Garland yesterday, mentioned how often they've talked to Adam already. So clearly the lines of communication are open and fully open. I think that Adam's going to want to be his own guy, but I think one of the big reasons why they chose him is this is a team that still needs to win, right? We all know the Fringy situation. They don't want to take a step back. They want to push and try to get better. Well, the one area that they're fairly sound is in goal and on defense. If you bring in a guy that's going to totally change the system, you might blow up the first month of your season. And if this team started 5-10-2 because they couldn't grasp a new system that a new coach was putting in place, they're in real trouble. So I think that the fact that Foote is probably going to play a similar defensive system was a big key in him getting the job, because they feel that side's okay. It's, can we score enough goals? And I'm sure he'll have his own wrinkles, but I think that they were comfortable that the same style of defensive system that Tocchet ran, I think Foote will probably run, and I think that went into decision-making for Foote getting hired.
So you say still needs to win, which equates to needs to make the playoffs, and you bring Evander Kane in, it ain't to rebuild anything, man. They have to present Vancouver Canuck fans a team that they believe should be one of 16 at the dance next spring.
Yep, and like I said, the questions are huge with Pettersson. You're hoping that, I think it all rests on Pettersson, if I'm being honest, right? He can't be a 50-point guy. I'd be an 80-point guy. Maybe he's not going to get back to 100. I'm not sure, but I think the main big question rests at the feet of Pettersson. Hedl, if he's healthy, is he a second-line center? Maybe not on a cup team. Maybe he's your third-line center. But for now, they're comfortable going with those 2. And if something shakes loose as the season goes on, they'll address it. But I think that they feel like, despite everything that went on last year, we missed the playoffs by 3 points. And it couldn't have gone worse. So let's just pray that we don't have another season where everything that can go wrong goes wrong. What's that, Murphy's Law? And we're going to be okay and make the playoffs. And so I don't think they got worse yesterday, and there weren't a lot of teams that got better yesterday. You know, I mean, Montreal maybe. There are a couple teams, Carolina, I think, but not a lot of teams did what they wanted to yesterday. And the Canucks, even though it was unconventional the way they got around to it, they did address a goal-scoring need by bringing back Brock Boeser.
Yeah. This is, I don't know. I want to ask you about Quinn Hughes, and everyone talked about a lot of that stuff, the potential for him to eventually leave and go play with his brothers and how real that is. Have we moved into a state where he could be LeBron James and just be like the GM of the Canucks and be like, hey, you know, if you guys want me here, you got to go get this guy, you got to keep this guy. Would he have more of an impact with this looming threat?
I don't think so.
I don't think he'd ever do that. He's too late.
I don't think Rutherford kind of gives me that vibe that he's going to let someone dictate.
Right.
I think they will certainly have conversation with him.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that, you know, I'm not saying he's going to be here after next year. I don't know. But I think the one thing that might give fans a little more comfort is nobody's leaving. Any team. Free agents stayed. They had a chance, I think, to, you know, make a whack of dough with this, you know, salary cap going up, and nobody wanted to leave anywhere.
Murph, hold on. Nobody has two brothers waiting for him.
How can they afford that? And if you were a coach, would you want three brothers on the same team?
God, no. They're calling their own plays at that point. It's too many. Yeah,
so-
it is going to be fascinating to see. You know, I hope it's not much of a story, because the Canucks, it'd be fun to see them.
What does that mean, not much of a story? It's a distraction that will not go away.
No question. Yeah, no question. It's always going to be looming. I get the sense that
What
probably
if he just
Quinn-
says, I don't want to go?
Okay, please get him to say it, and we're good.
I think Quinn is pretty good at saying the right things too, you know, and he is always giving off the loyalty vibe. And I think he'll address it in some way at the start of the season. That'll probably it until we get closer to see out if the team is a good team or a bad team. We're getting close to the deadline. I think we'll all shake out, but there's no question that that's the storyline that's hanging over the season, the entire season, not the beginning of the season.
So Jimmy Rutherford has this reputation. Do we wait for this reputation to kick in? Is there something lurking? Like, there's got to be something big for Jimmy. We know he's itching.
Well, I think Patrick and Jim are always looking, but I just don't know what's available, right? I don't. I mean, I think that the biggest thing right now might be Suter, and I don't know if they can get that done, but they're always looking to make a big splash. But as we saw, there's just, when every team feels they're one or two moves away from being that much better, no one's selling. And so unless you're willing to really overpay, which the Canucks can't afford to do right now with where the cap's at, then I'm not sure what can be done. But I'd never put it past him. He's never been shy to pull the trigger, that's for sure.
Murph, great stuff as always.